pharmaceutical industry overcome the obstacles to digitalization and lead to paradigm changes for pharmaceutical manufacturing. First, I'd like to welcome our first speaker to the stage from Velan, Senior Director, Global Accounts at Velan IT Solutions, ISPE Special Interest Group, Pharma 4.0, Chairman, Dr. Christian Dever. Christian, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for the nice introduction. So I would like to bring the message today, which is a little bit also strategic, and bringing digitalization and the regulatory together. And this is work we have done in ISPE with a lot of colleagues which supported me here around that. And I'm very happy now that you invited me here to present this also to you. So let me go through my agenda with you quickly. So first of all, I would like to explain to you why we did it. So why was this initiative in ISPE? Why did we say we need this? Then I would like to explain what we brought together between Industry 4.0 and Pharma 4.0, the enablers and elements of our operating model, and to explain what the holistic control strategy is behind that, which is coming from ICH, and then to explain also what are the key benefits for that and the summary conclusions. Once again, 25 minutes is a little bit challenging. The clock is not running yet, so I have more time. So let's start with the problem statement then. So first of all, what is the fundamental problem, we said, and we have heard this morning already. There's a lack of quality at a certain point, and quality issues and drug shortages are playing a huge role, bringing 2/3 of the issues with it. And also the FDA pointed here out, and that are slides from Lawrence Yu, that also the recalls for pharmaceutical drug products, the reasons are increasing. Yeah? This is getting bigger and bigger problem today. And they make also a very strong statement here that the fundamental problem we identify is the inability of the market to observe and reward quality. This lack of reward for quality can reinforce price competition and encourage manufacturers to keep costs down by minimizing quality investment. I think this is a very strong statement where we have to work on and saying, no, we are doing quality and we are investing into quality, but we do it in an efficient way with putting more automation into our sites. And of course, in pharma, we also want to go into the direction of the Six Sigma. Yeah? This is what we want to achieve. And also the FDA already monitors what we are doing wrong. Yeah? So by the way, there's a nice FDA app available. Yeah, you can download it. It's about drug shortages, and all companies having currently drug shortages are publicly posted there. So download it, see if your organization is also already involved into that. So let me start if what we did in the last, let's say, 15 years. There was 2004 when the PAT guideline came up, and we have 2017 now, where the ETT team set up the new guideline for pharmaceutical innovation. And when we look now into the documents, they are referencing each other. What does it mean? So actually, not a bit has changed since then. Yeah? We tried to bring in PAT for a long, long time. Quality by design is out, the risk-based approach is out, but I think we didn't move too much into the pharma industry. We have to do definitely more here, and for me it's a little bit that the new guidelines now, the digitalization will help us a little bit to solve this problem. So to solve this problem, we said in ISPE, okay, we need an operating model for this. How can we operate a digitalized factory? And we said, how can we do this? And there is already in other industries a solution available. This is Industry 4.0. Like we invented it, for example, in Germany as a guideline and as an operating model already in 2013, which is showing what other industries, automotive, for example, or the airplane industry is already doing it. And so we said, this is the basis, we can use it. But what is different? What makes us different? What can we add on these technologies to make us fitting into the regulatory requirements. Because we always say, oh, in pharma we are totally different, we have the regulations and we cannot take what automotive is doing and so on. So I think this is not the case, what we recognize. So we said, let's take the ICH guidelines. We heard a lot already this morning also about the control strategy, and we said, putting this both together, Industry 4.0 and the ideas of pharma, of the pharmaceutical regulation, then we create the Pharma 4.0 operating model in ISPE. And this was the idea to bring the elements, which you find in the middle, that are these colorful squares there, and two enablers, which are digital maturity and also data integrity by design. So this all brings together our operating model. I would like to explain to you a little bit more. So let's start with digital maturity. Before you can throw in augmented reality and artificial intelligence on your shop floor, you must prepare your organization. We heard a lot about culture and training, and not only training, we have to educate people. This is what we learned already this morning. So this is what we have to bring into our organizations first. So what does it mean? So in other industries, we already invented this. How do we get the digital maturity? So we took, once again, this guideline, which is addressing the whole organization, the whole value network of an organization. And we said, let's focus here on the structure, on the value network structure, which you can see here on the top, which is taking the resources, the information systems, and the culture into consideration. So the operating model is sitting here on the top side. And taking this now, we said, okay, how can we bring in the digital maturity? So we said there are, in this guideline of Industry 4.0, 6 levels available. Yeah? This starts with computerization up to full adaptability of a site to the processes, to have a fully controlled process at the end. And what we did then is to say, okay, when we are having now these elements of our operating model, having the maturity scalability on top of this, then we can assess each organization where they are today. Yeah? Is it Pharma 4.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0? Where are we? This is the first step we have to do. And for this purpose, we developed an ISPE, also a special pharma digital maturity index here. There are some articles already out there in the ISPE which you can download. They have been published in the Pharmaceutical Engineering magazine to go more in detail. Today I don't have the time to go too much into details here, just to mention it. But how does it fit now what we have invented with ISPE now together with the regulators? So for this purpose, I compared now our model here on the left-hand side with the presentation I saw from Lawrence Yu and his pyramid of maturity. And he was putting a 3 levels pyramid up here, having on the bottom the today's approach where we are testing the quality into the product, the inflexible processes, and the green level 1 is a desired state. Yeah? So that's the level where we want to go. This is where we want to apply the maturity. So this goes up to level 6 where we have the full adaptable and predictive organization. And that's where we want to go. This is our desired state. And so this taken now, we said, okay, when we want to go to that stage of maturity, we need also a certain approach to the digital data we have. So we said we need a data integrity by design approach, not only quality by design, also the data we are creating and archiving later on, we have to put into that. And so we said we need first a full business understanding. We need a process understanding. Yeah? Nothing new comes with the quality by design approach. And we said, big question, do you know your processes? This is not meaning that you have your master batch records, your recipes written in Word documents and prosa text. This is not a proper business process understanding. The business process understanding is coming with a structured workflow approach, yeah? With the business process workflow approach. And when we look into the ISPE guideline for records and data integrity, you will find the solution already. It's very nicely described. So what we need is the process flow charts describing your processes, not only prosa text, very structured, yeah, like here in these flow charts. And we need the process data flows, the data flow diagrams. So on top of these business flows, process diagrams, you put in the data flow diagrams. And when you have this, actually, you have to do this across the whole data lifecycle, then you're good. Yeah? So this means that having such a structured approach brings to you the data integrity, that you capture the data on the sensor and have the lifecycle of this data up to the retention archive later on in your long-term archive, which you present also to the regulators. And you can track your data throughout all your systems, independently if it's a DCS, SCADA system, whatever you have on the shop floor, or manual entry, up to the MES system or LIMS system, whatever you have, up to the retention archive. So this is the homework you have to do. Secondly, I would pick out of this, due to time, I would like to focus now on the elements we have to the organization, the focus. And the focus will be now to explain what is the ICH, what we call it, the holistic control strategy. So to go there, to get these data flow diagrams, we have to understand what is the control strategy behind our product. And when we are looking to the history of the control strategy, this was invented with the term in ICH Q8. This is a little bit the history here of all the ICH guidelines, just written down here by FDA. And we have a lot of new guidelines which are then also dealing with continuous manufacturing, or for example, also with analytical quality by design in the future. So these guidelines, and we heard it this morning, this will be guiding principles, and they are really strict for us to follow. In ISPE, we said which one is most appropriate for us. So we heard already also this morning, pharma quality system, the PQS system, and ICH Q10. That's the right one we have to focus on when we are looking now from process development up to commercial manufacturing. And that's exactly now the story I want to tell you that we do have the ICH Q10 definition of the control strategy. Yeah? I don't want to go into details here, but this is describing the complete process and how you have to execute it. And the key is that you have, of course, to control your CQAs by controlling your CPPs, and of course you do it also with modern technologies like PAT, yeah, where you are dealing with flexible control strategies, where you have then the control of also the variabilities of the input materials and incoming parameters as well. And when you mirror this now against this pyramid you saw already before, then you can see that this also implies that we need a certain maturity here when you are developing this in your organization. So you have today's approach, and on the level 1, that's the approach, the desired state where we want to go, and that's Pharma 4.0. So looking into the control strategy now, the control strategy in ICH Q8 is what you are having in your new drug application, in your submission. But this is not sufficient what is described there. Of course, it shows the CQAs, the CPPs, and so on, but at the end, you have to manufacture it. So we said we need a manufacturing control strategy, and this manufacturing control strategy needs to focus on the commercial process and needs also the facility, equipment, IT, GMP stuff also in there. Yeah? All these controls needs to be defined as well. And then in total, we do have the complete manufacturing control strategy, which needs to be executed. I want to skip this one. So this is now the starting point, I said, ICH Q10. By the way, this is the original picture here of the guideline when you download it from the internet. So first of all, we said, okay, let's make it more nicely. Make a new slide out of it. Take the content. So this is a pharmaceutical life cycle, yeah? And this goes from pharmaceutical development up to commercial manufacturing and includes also IMPs. And we said we have enablers here already defined in the regulations, which are knowledge management, quality risk management, for example. We have elements here which are process performance, product quality monitoring. We heard this morning about CAPA systems and so on and so on. So this is all under control as well, and of course management is responsible for this. This is what we heard already. So we said, what is different now? What is different now when we are digitalizing such a process now? And we said, when we are taking now the control strategy and the manufacturing control strategy, putting it into this picture here to see where they are applying in the life cycle, we said we have now new enablers, which are digital maturity and data integrity by design. We named them enablers, new enablers, and we have new elements, new PQS elements, which we think are the 4 elements we took from Industry 4.0. So that's the story, and that's the bridge between industry, the automation, the digitalization, and on the other hand, the regulatory guidelines. So nicely packed in one picture. And to complete it over the complete life cycle, it is to add what ICHQ 12 now is requesting from us. It's the life cycle management, and hopefully this will be faster than in the past. So this is hopefully working with a digitalized world where we have the data already available. And we also have to get from left to right, from the control strategy to the manufacturing control strategy. And this is often a challenge, because what do we have to do? We have the control strategy, what we get out of submissions, normally written, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, a lot of paper still, which is coming out of the early development. And on the right-hand side, we do have the nice new world of full automated commercial manufacturing processes. So once again, what do we have to do? We need a best practice methodology for bringing it from left to right with a knowledge base, of course. Knowledge management is one of the important enablers. We have the other ICHQ 10 enablers like process performance and quality monitoring. And as I mentioned before, we have to have an understanding of our business processes. And this means also business process harmonization, process by harmonizing process maps, the elements in the process maps, the process data maps, the vertical and horizontal data integration, really clear interfaces between the different levels of the systems. And we have to apply the risk-based approach, means critical thinking when we are thinking about data integrity. And very important topic also here, we have to integrate it across the organizations, because you have sponsor companies, you have CMOs, so CROs, and today a lot is not is only done with paper and PDF documents, and we are missing here the integration. So we need standards in the future to exchange the data between the different organizations to keep the data integrity. And what I've learned and seen in the industry is that there's a little bit of room for improvements, let's say, because this is all done mainly manual. So we have to keep all our data under control, and when we want to have a proper control strategy, we need the data flow knowledge and the data lifecycle management behind that. This is a clear message we designed here in our group. And when we think about this integration now, one working group of the ISPE Pharma 4.0 is now dealing with exactly this approach to saying, okay, how can we create data process maps? How can we create the process data maps, the critical thinking, and the optimized data flow behind that? And what they created is a full model now, a 4-step approach. Just to give you an overview here, this is in the handouts later on as well. And this, for example, is a structured approach how to get from the process maps up to an optimized data flow, which is fulfilling the data integrity requirements. So we want to go from data to wisdom. We saw such a pyramid before already. So from our perspective, this is now a loop which we have from all the data, which is enabled with the enablers knowledge management, digital maturity, and data integrity by design, so that we keep really the whole flow through the pyramid. And I would say we are currently today more on the level of data capturing and maximum of information, but we are not keeping real knowledge today in most of our systems, and definitely we are not using it to create the wisdom to have predictive systems or using artificial intelligence to make more out of this data. So this is something what we see in ISPE still up front for us to define, and artificial intelligence systems, this will be a question of validating it in the future. we are collaborating here already with the German regulators to find a way how to validate in the future also artificial intelligence systems. And this is a brand new picture we have just created as a first draft. This is now showing how we do see on the left-hand side the ICH Q8 mirrored in the Google data flow with ICH Q12 when we talk about post-approval changes. Yeah? So we have on the left-hand side the CPP, CQAs, we have the key KPPs, and we have the control strategy which needs to be updated from time to time, and how this fits then in the pyramid where we say, okay, we are coming from a parameter-based approach up to a performance-based approach on top of this pyramid. Yeah, with less resources, we want to be more efficient, and we want to have a more efficient post-approval change management process. So, in interest of time, I will not go too further into details, but there will be an article exactly dealing with this in one of the next issues of the Pharmaceutical Engineer. So what are the benefits now of this holistic control strategy approach? So left-hand side, you can see the risk. Yeah? So when we are starting a process going from left to right, from process design up to continued process verification, what we saw explained this morning already, we have a process where creates the initial control strategy, brings the process criticality down, the risks down, and then we are throwing it normally over the fence because process development is throwing it to tech transfers to scale up into control, into commercial manufacturing, and then finally we are starting commercial manufacturing. Yeah? So that's a typical situation what I've heard in many organizations. And what for me as an IT person is interesting, nobody is using the data which has been created before. Yeah? So this is culture from my perspective. So this is a key point here. We are sitting in our silos and not leveraging the knowledge we have created before. So what can digital maturity now do? Big data can do that. We are using this data in a holistic way. It means we are agglomerating our knowledge, bringing the risks down with one approach. Yeah? And then we can start earlier with our commercial manufacturing because we have our processes under control much earlier. Yeah? And this definitely will reduce the time to market and also the inventory we need for our clinical materials, for example. Yeah? So this is an approach which we think is one of the biggest benefits of the digitalization. A second one will explain a little bit the complexity we have today. We have more complexity than in the past. Yeah? We have to deal, for example, and I picked only one example where I have a little bit of a background here now, with Kite Pharmaceuticals, for example, doing these personalized medicines. And keep in mind, this process is pretty complex. Yeah? It goes from patient to patient, and this in 14 to 16 days. This means this is a very quick process. So there's no 3-batch validation, whatever. Yeah? So we have to be much quicker, and we need to adopt our batch records, our master batch records, or our control strategy much quicker because we only have one batch. And we have to develop new technologies like the cocoon biotechnology and bioreactors, which are much more flexible than what we have today. But this can be only managed with an electronic system. Yeah? Only when we manage our data electronically. And does not need to be a business case from my perspective because we cannot do it without an electronic system. Yeah? We cannot do it without digitalization. Take your mobile phone. Can you survive today without your mobile phone? I will not even get to the airport because I cannot pay with my Apple Pay and my taxi. Yeah? Or I will not have my ticket because my ticket is also on my iPhone. And so I will be completely lost. But calculate a business case for that? Difficult. Yeah? I spend some €100 on this iPhone and I have it. Yeah? It's a prerequisite. Okay, so this is just to give a small idea of what we think, why we need this digitalization. One of the key things we also identified, and I like this presentation about culture this morning from David, is exactly supporting this, that we think that we need more collaboration. And this is what we need, what we identified even in our special interest group, because we have many different people in our special interest group from different silos of the organization. And guess what? Sometimes or most of the time, we are starting discussing what did you say and what did I understand. Yeah, because we are not always talking like this in the beginning, and then at a certain point we understand each other. And that's why, because we are out of different departments, we have different background knowledge, and we have sometimes also different wording. Yeah? Ask somebody in manufacturing what a control strategy is. Yeah? Normally you get the answer, oh yes, this is on my PLC here down, or in my SCADA system, and then I say, oh God, this is not the control strategy. Yeah? This is a controlling program, but not the strategy. But long story short, this will be the design of the processes, so people in product development, we need the people in operations doing the execution, and of course people doing the realization, that are the engineers, the IT guys, helping us to automate our processes. But in the end, when you want to create this holistic control strategy, what we have designed now and defined in ISPE, is saying that we all have to collaborate together, and we have to get out of our silos, right? So we have to get rid of sitting in our silos. We have to communicate and to have much more data exchange in the future. And keep in mind, it's ICHQ10, it's the responsibility of the management. Yeah. There's a very clear message to the management. You have the responsibility, and you have to see that we have an integrated approach. Okay, so summary. Key message is the holistic control strategy is the digitalization of the pharma quality system. That is the biggest benefit. And this is how all other industries are doing it. Look to semiconductor. At the end, they have a control strategy for their wafers, but this is fully digitalized already. Yeah? There are no interfaces. This is one line working all through. This is like continuous manufacturing. It's so similar. Yeah? We can just leverage. And Pharma 4.0 is not an IT project. It's a reorganizational thing. It's culture change, it's organizational business process change. Then we can get to Six Sigma. Yeah, definitely that's the next step where we want to go. Yeah? Regulators are asking us for this. I guess we are not quite there. So there's a little bit of room for improvements for us. And we have to apply CPV. Yeah? This was nicely explained by Maurice this morning. We have to make it happen on the shop floor. And digitalization enables the management of the complexity. And this is what I would like to emphasize as well. So before we can use all these nice augmented reality glasses here, we definitely have to work on our processes. We have to understand them, and then we can turn them into electronic workflows and to put these electronic devices on the shop floor. But before, we will fail because the culture is not there, the understanding the understanding is not there, and the education on the shop floor is not there for the operators. So this brings me at the end of the presentation. I would like to thank you for your attention. I'm a little bit over my time, but I made it nearly in time for you guys here. So for the next presentation. Thank you very much.